Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone, to day 2 of State of OpenCon. How many conferences do you go to that have circus performers at the after parties? Not very many. I hope all of you had as lovely of a day as I had yesterday. I had great conversations. I saw some excellent presentations. And it's just been an absolutely lovely conference so far. So the good news is that we have more of that today. And I would like to introduce our host for the day, Amanda Brock, OpenUK CEO, who will tell you all about what we have happening for you today. Thanks.
So Dawn is way too modest, and she is one of OpenUK's board directors and a long-standing open source contributor and a very important part of the open source community. So I am a morning person, but I'm not a morning person other than in my house. So I want to say thank you, because this conference starts too early for me, and if I was a delegate, I probably wouldn't be here at 9 o'clock. So a particular thank you to all of you for making it back in the room at 9. And we said yesterday that we were going to have a lot of important conversations here for the open source community. We have the plenary sessions yesterday talking about the future of digital and open source. And today we're shifting to AI openness, which was the last of the 3 asks in our open manifesto, enabling AI openness here in the UK. And I want to talk just for a moment about the purpose of State of OpenCon, because we're not like any other conference. And I don't know if you're feeling that vibe as you're in the building, but there is a reason we're not like any other conference, and it's because it's your conference. So how this ends up is entirely reliant on you. We've got a couple of hours this morning in the plenary sessions where we have this curated content that we want to share with you. We definitely do not have all the answers, but we know the questions that we want answered. And we want to raise those in the mornings to raise awareness and start you thinking about what you're going to do with your day. And yesterday, at least for me, was a very long day. I'm assuming it was a long day for all of you as well. The DX, the Delegate Experience area, where we have tables, we have our photographer Tiana Lee. Boeing are doing this sort of flight simulator, and I think they're still walking on the moon. That space was absolutely jumping in a way that I've not seen at a conference for a long time, and it was really great to see it. So I hope if you haven't enjoyed that, prize draw is done. There is no prize draw attached to it anymore, but please spend some more time in that space, speak to the people from the different projects, from the different foundations and companies who are really keen to meet you all and spend time with you. We also, down in the basement, have the AI policy zone that I'm going to talk to you more about because it's super relevant to what we're talking about today. And I mentioned Tiana Lee. Where's Tiana? She's here in the front. Go on, stand up. So this beautiful art exhibition, sponsored by ARM, was photographed by Tiana, what, a year ago? Yeah. One individual who's in it, Basil Cousins, who was part of the sort of forerunner to the open source community in the 60s, and who's one of the people who set up Open Forum Europe. Bizarrely, Open Forum Europe was set up by 3 Brits. Basil died about a month after this was created. And I'm not going to cry, but he had so many nice emails about how excited he was to see the community represented in these photos. Now, what we did in year 1 with ARM was we took 36 pictures, and if you scan the QR codes, if you have a moment in this room, they go through to videos from the individuals. Tiana last year took, what was it, 170 what? 176 photos of people from the community, and they got their own headshots that they were able to use afterwards. It's all Creative Commons. But what we're planning is to bring all of those photographs together into one giant montage. So if you're not already photographed and part of that community, and you want to be in the montage next year, which will take up more space than this building has got on a wall, please go and see Tiana and get your photo taken, and feel free to use it for your headshot. So I think that's the practical about the DX room. As I said yesterday, if there's a fire alarm, we have to exit the building, meet in the courtyard outside. If there's any health issues, then somebody needs to go to the info desk downstairs, ask for Chloe, Sam, or Kim, and they will make sure that everything is organized that's needed. We at OpenUK have my clicker isn't working, there it is. So we have a competition policy, sustainability policy, and a code of respect. The code of respect is in every room. We have a Chaos Gold medal that we're very proud of for EDI. So please, if you're not familiar with our code of respect, which is sort of industry standard in open source, take a moment, read that, make sure you understand it. And remember that the staff are volunteers. They're part of this big ecosystem of OpenUK. And please be kind to them. They won't always know the answer you want immediately, but they'll do their best. So I think I have covered all the practicality. Oh, lunch is being served again up here and down in the basement. All dietary requirements will be met up here. We're actually starting a little bit later, so you've got time at the end to leave and get to the other rooms. The sessions don't start till 11:30. I'm sure you're going to be very sad that we're going to end at 4:30 today. There is an interesting talk that you might want to look at as a final talk. Not that I'm trying to give preferential treatment to anybody, but there is an interesting talk on digital twins from one of the UK government departments who are very engaged with us in this conference. And they're about to launch some open source. So they'll be looking to build a community and take contributions. So it'd be lovely for anybody who's interested in digital twin if you have some time to go to that talk. The focus for today shifts. Now that focus shifts in the plenaries to AI. I guess you've already started that because every track has content about AI. And I'm sure you've already been engaging in AI as you're thinking about what's going on here. And I said that the conference is something that belongs to you, therefore how it's going to be belongs to you. We have 200 speakers who are also part of the audience, and that content is something they're going to share with you. I'm told that it was hard to get tracks to close yesterday because people had so many questions, and I'm pleased because what that means is you're engaging and you're having your conversations. And those can obviously happen over lunch. We don't have a formal coffee break scheduled, but if you want to have conversations, there is space in the AI cafe. And that has a barista coffee machine if you're trying to get better coffee, and it has snacks that will be served all day today if you want those. Now, next to that AI cafe, there's an AI consultation zone. If you haven't heard me, you're not listening because I've said this so many times. There is an AI consultation zone, and DCIT and the Home Office are in that AI consultation zone today from 1 till 2 and 2 till 3. That's your opportunity to tell the UK government departments what open source is, what your views on AI are, and to engage with them and be heard as a community. And as I said yesterday, I don't think any government in the world, government departments in the world have done this kind of direct consultation in this way before. It's something that we really need to take the opportunity for. And I'm going to say thank you because I'm told, I wasn't there, that the first 40 got into the room and the next 15 had to queue outside for the next session because you're so engaged in this. So thank you for taking that conversation on behalf of the open technology community to the UK government. So thinking about AI, which is the point of our panel sessions this morning, OpenUK produced a report in advance of this conference, and we have some thought leadership in it. We include a piece by Professor Neil Lawrence from Cambridge University, who is the DeepMind Professor of ML, and Neil is going to be our opening keynote in a couple of minutes. We also have thought leadership from Margaret Hartnett on the EU AI Act, and Margaret's going to be part of our panel session later this morning. And we have a couple of interviews. So one of them with the founder, Emad, the founder of Stability AI. We're going to have a fireside chat with Emad this morning too. I'm sorry that Torrin Bruce Richards, the founder of AutoGPT, is not here. So Torrin sends his apologies from Edinburgh. He has I think imminent, I haven't seen it, but he has an imminent release, which is why he's not here. And I think if you're going to give an excuse for not being at an open tech conference, having an imminent release that you have been fully focused on is the best reason you can give. I think the publication of that interview with Torrin is the first time he's ever spoken to any media or anybody publicly about what he's done with AutoGPT, how and why. So it's his first interview. He was hoping to speak with us, and I will get him on a stage at some time, I promise you. But what he's told me is he's said 2 lines on a stage ever. So when we do get him on the stage, hopefully that will also be a first. Our AI report came out last Thursday, and little could we have known that the next day, and we do say in the report that the EU AI Act text is imminent, and we say that the House of Lords LLM inquiry report is imminent. Little could we know that we would see texts of both on the 2nd of February. And what that's meant is a bit of a shift in the plenary panels this morning. So Margaret, who is an expert on the EU AI Act, is joining the panel session. And we are very fortunate to have Baroness Stowell, who I see has arrived now, thank you, having agreed to join us on Monday. And I think this will be the first time that a representative of the Lords will speak publicly on that report published on Friday. Now, the Lords said in their report, and she will correct me if I'm wrong here, that the term open source is disputed. I think the word was disputed, I may have got that wrong. Or contested, actually, contested. Therefore, they wouldn't use it for AI. Now that's a bit odd, right? I'm an open source lawyer by background, and I think the term is absolutely clear. However, I would rather that a government does this. I would rather that the Lords do that and say that they need to do more research, they need to think about this more, and they're going to use a different term rather than use it wrongly, which we're seeing so many times across the world. So it will be super interesting for me as well as you to hear the Baroness, who's going to be our closing keynote this morning. There's a QR code there for you to download the report. At the back of it, you will see we have a copy of what we submitted to the LLM inquiry. And it was a late submission that we did in a very short space of time. I apologize. There are errors in it. There are typos. And we mentioned what they are in the report itself. I wrote it as a first draft on a flight overnight on the way back to the UK, but we wanted to give them it. And I think it's important because they reference us in the footnotes 10 times and they quote us once. So please forgive any mistakes that you see in it, but fundamentally, it brought the open source community into that discussion. And today, you have the opportunity to be part of that discussion directly with the UK government departments when you join the consultations this afternoon. So I think you've probably heard enough from me on this, on the AI topic. I will say I'm not an AI expert, and I never will be. I don't have the time to learn the scale of information that you need to learn, and the pace of change is so fast and so hard. But I do know about open source. So that's the thing that I feel I can contribute to this conversation. And if you're like me and you're an open source expert, not an AI expert, then there is plenty of room for you to be heard here in this AI conversation too. I mentioned yesterday that the UK is #1 in Europe by number of developers and lines of code that are contributed to the open source community. According to UK government, we're #3 in the world in the business of AI, and we have a unique opportunity here to bring AI openness to the UK.